Hello my friends, and welcome to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures. Well, I am once again tackling a few items off the honeydew list here, and one of the things on there is that my wife has been complaining about her car, saying that she thinks that the brakes are making some noise. Now, I rode around it a little bit. I don't really notice it, but she drives it more often than I do, so I am inclined to take a look at it. I do not think they're worn out, but you never know. And since I am a tinkering guy, I do all the work on all my vehicles myself. This is a fairly new Honda CRV here, but it has not ever seen a dealership, nor will it ever need to. It's a Honda. But all vehicles, no matter how reliable they are, do need routine maintenance, and brakes are a routine maintenance item. It's not a big deal. I don't even know what a brake shop charges, 100 bucks, 200 bucks, no idea. But I have never taken a car in for that because it's just too darn easy. So to get started, what we are going to do is we are going to jack up the front of the car. We'll put it on the jack stands, take the front wheels off, and then we will inspect the front brakes. And when we're happy with that, we'll set it down. We'll jack the back end up and check those brakes. So I have got a fairly decent floor jack here. What does it say it's rated at? 3.5 tons, maybe, maybe not. Lots of good places to get jack stands, or jacks and jack stands. So go ahead and pick up a set. Let me get the camera set up. We'll get it on the jack stands and we'll get the wheels off. We'll show you what we're gonna be looking for. Okay, so we got the wheel off. This is on the passenger side. Oh, and by the way, I know it looked pretty nice taking them off with this, but this is just an impact driver. It's not an impact wrench. I still had to use my star wrench there. So if anyone out there watching this has ever wanted to contribute a gift to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures, I certainly could use a Ryobi 18-volt impact wrench, 1/2-inch drive, 3-speed, model number P181. I don't know if that's it. I just made that up. That actually might be it, but it would make my life easier. So, like I said, I do all the maintenance on this car myself, and I just did a tire rotation on here, so I'm 99.9% certain that I did check the brakes. But what we're looking for is right in here. This is your brake pad right there. Now there's a metal backing on it right here, and then the pad material on the inside. And you probably won't be able to see it very well, but there's a pad on the inside as well. Now what happens once your pads start getting close to worn out, there is a little metal indicator. It's like a little metal arm. So it will make kind of a squeaking noise when you apply the brakes. So once you start to hear that squeaking, that's when you need to take a good look at them. Now, I don't know if we'll be able to see it on here, where it's at. Probably won't be able to get a good view of it anyway. But another thing you want to look for is the surface of your brake rotor here. If you see any, so this kind of got a couple of small grooves in it. It looks like a really light record player grooves almost. That's not something to be concerned about. Now, if it's something really deep, like if your fingernail catches in it and stops, like my fingernail feels these, but These are just barely grooves. You look at this side, and then also got to look at the back side, which is a lot harder to see because you have a dust shield like this. But you can get a look in there. So that's one thing you want to look for. Another thing I always check is I check these CV boots right here. So you got this one is the outside one, and that one is the inside one. You want to look to see if those are worn at all. Usually what will happen is that rubber will split, and a telltale sign of that is all throughout this inner wheel well you'll have a whole bunch of grease, or on the back side of the tire you'll have a whole bunch of grease. Another thing to look for when you got these wheels off is take a look at the condition of the brake hose. This is a pretty new car, like I said, so that shouldn't be an issue, but after about 10-15 years you might want to be really paying close attention to those and replacing those. You can also check your tie rod ends. Some of these have a grease zerk on them, so you can grease them. Some of them do not. And you can also check your control arm bushings. Just take a look at those. And you can also take a look at your struts, just for any obvious issues. But initial, like I said, I'm gonna have to look around on the back side a little bit better because it's kind of hard to see with holding the camera here. But initially this brake looks fine, but I'm gonna look at all 4 wheels. So we can do the same thing on the other side, then we'll jack the back up and we'll take a look at that. So something I want to point out before I go to lifting up the back of this vehicle is make sure that, of course, your vehicle is in park, your parking brake is set, and you also block the wheels. Now this is a front wheel drive vehicle, so when it's in park, the front wheels are locked basically, and the parking brake operates the back wheels. But even that said, when I lifted up the front, I put the blocks behind the back wheels, and when I lift the front, or when I lift the back, when I lifted the front I had them there, and when I lift the back I move them to there. And never trust a jack, always use jack stands. So you jack it up, put the jack stands under a solid part of the vehicle, and then I set the jack down set the vehicle down, lower the jack onto the jack stands. And then I usually leave the jack under there as well. So it's resting on the jack stands and the jack is providing another point. But you don't want to count on just the jack. Okay, here's an example of what I'm talking about. I've got the jack stand under this rear control arm, or whatever they call it. And I still have the jack positioned right under the center here. And of course the jack stand on the other side. So the rear, we're looking at the same thing. This vehicle has 4-wheel disc brakes, as almost every newer vehicle does. I mean, I'd say if you have a vehicle that's 10 years old or newer, the chances are that you have 4-wheel disc brakes. I don't know many vehicles that still have drum brakes. They may exist. The rear on this vehicle also has drive shafts because it's all-wheel drive. So once again, we're going to look at the CV boots. And now is, a good time as any to take a look at them. You can take a look at the struts back here as well. The brake hoses, ABS sensors. If you ever get an ABS light on your vehicle, that would be the very first thing that I would check. The ABS sensor. It's very easy. It goes, let's see if we can see it here. Right down there. So it's a very easy component to change. It just plugs in back in here somewhere. They're not that expensive, but that'd be the first thing I'd look for. Now most vehicles now, since they have rear disc brakes, you either have your parking brake built into your caliper here, or there is actually a drum inside of here, drum brake that's built inside of here, and that's what I believe this one has. I haven't looked at it closely. Yeah, This is the parking brake cable. So this one has those drum brakes inside of here. Those, I have never messed with those. They don't go bad very often, but I guess it's something that can happen. So once again, we'll look at our, let me see if I can see here. Look at our pad, brake pad in here. Thickness looks great. The disc looks even smoother than the front one. So I'll take a look at the back side of this as well, because I kind of got to get down here and kind of look up to see it easier. But these are very easy to change, very inexpensive. Brake pads, well, let's say you go, like my place I go to is AutoZone because they're close. So they have the AutoZone brand, which is Duralast, and then they have the Duralast Gold ceramics or whatever, they're top of the lines, which are lifetime warranted, and they cost about $40 maybe, let's say $30 to $40 for a set of brake pads, and that'll be for both sides, and they're lifetime warranted. So if you're the type of person who keeps your cars for a long time, like I do, and you work on your cars yourself, well, when the brake pads start to wear out, they will replace them free of charge. You just put the car up on the stands like I'm doing right now, take the brake pads off, run on over to AutoZone, give them the old brake pads, they'll give you a new set, and you just replace them. Very easy. Now, I had a pickup that I kept for 20 years, and the first time I did brakes on it, I put on those Duralast Gold brake pads, and I changed them out until I sold that pickup to my friend, and I never paid for brake pads on the truck the entire time I had it, so kind of nice. But these brake pads look fine as far as I can see. I'll take a look at the other one, the inside, and then I'll take a look at the passenger side wheel, and then we'll go from there. And one last thing, if you're tightening these down with a little impact driver like what I did, don't forget to go back and tighten all these in a star pattern, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Now, I'd have to look in the manual, but there is definitely a torque value to these lug nuts. Even though you're seeing me just tighten it with my star wrench here, I'm going to once again let you know that you should RTFM, read the freaking manual, and look up the torque value to torque these things to the proper specs so that your wheels do not fall off. I'm not saying that I'm smarter than the manual. I've been around a while and been doing this, and I am going to take my own risks on knowing that I'm tightening them to the German torque, which is Guten tight. So there you have it. There is a basic brake inspection on a vehicle. So if you're paying for a brake inspection and you are capable of jacking up your vehicle, either using a floor jack or even the jack that comes on the vehicle, and you can even use the lug wrench that comes on the vehicle, you could take a look at your brakes yourself. Maybe take about an hour. I think I spent about 30 minutes, but I have a jack stand and a floor jack. If you just use the jack that comes with the vehicle, it'll probably take you about an hour. So if it costs $100 to get a brake inspection, well, is your time worth $100 an hour? I don't know. That's up to you to decide. But the more you know, the more you know. the better it is. So it's always good to have an idea of how your vehicle works and what they're taking a look at, and just a general understanding of how things work. Makes life a little bit easier, I think. So I'm going to get out there and German torque the rest of these tires on here so that my lovely wife can drive safely to and from the places she needs to go. thank you very much for watching. If you feel so inclined, please give this video a thumbs up and click that subscribe button. You know, those sort of things is good for me, good for you. You know, we get to do a little more of this collaboration. Get out there and find your adventure. Adios.